So you're saying when many of us think that the strongest lever, I would say, in the control mechanism or the control apparatus would be the financial system, you're claiming it's the justice system that kind of holds everything in place, and the fact that we give our consent to participate in the way the system is designed. You think that has more power or more grip on the structure of the control system than the actual money or monetary side of the financial system? Or you think that, they're both like equally important to uphold this matrix structure in place?
Yeah, it's not that the legal system is more powerful of a control structure. It's that the energy by which to create it comes from the confiscation of energy through central banking, through printing of money, right? This is upstream of the legal system, and the legal system can't be erected as it is without central banking.
Right.
Central banking is
Yeah, they're dependent on each other.
that feeds everything. You can't have big tech, you can't have technocracy, you can't have the medical industrial complex as it is without the printing of money.
Yeah.
And it's the fifth plank of the Communist Manifesto. So if anybody thinks that central banking naturally arrived at our door because we thought it was good for us, it's not true. It's all part of this control structure. We don't live in a societal driven social contract. There was a reset, and all these control structures were built over time.
Mm-hmm.
And so the energy behind everything is the control of what we call money, this money printing.
Do you refer
And
to the reset, the last reset that was done, as like the creation of the Federal Reserve, or like around the beginning of the 1900s, or is it earlier than that? The last one, the last reset that we experienced as humanity.
yeah, I've been looking at this a lot, and I'm still looking at it. I think it was earlier, probably the late 1700s into the 1800s. You have a lot of, I would say, catastrophic stuff happening in the world in that time period. It looks as though they reset the technological level of the population down to horse and wagons, yet there's all kinds of evidence of a much more sophisticated civilization, even in the United States, especially the Western United States is really the canary in the coal mine for seeing some of this stuff. And then you had
Can you give some
uh,
examples of technologies that were used back then,
well,
before we were brought back to the horse and carriage?
think about it in a little bit of a different way. So we have a historical narrative that says there was colonists, then they built up on the East Coast, and then sometime later they went west. We have, for example, San Francisco. If you look at pictures from, maybe 20 or 30 years after it was founded by people rushing out there for the gold rush, it looks like it could house 1 million people or more. You have these incredible structures, cathedrals, and it looks like Roman and, something you would see in Europe. I've spent a lot of time in Europe, and it's very special, but I would go back to the United States and I'd see strip malls and just a bunch of bleak, construction. And then you look back at the World's Fairs and you see that in Omaha, it used to look like Rome. St. Louis looked like Rome.
Wow.
Chicago was like Rome. And then you think, well, how can that be? And then we get back to the confirmation bias and ontological shock. And one can dismiss that and just accept the narrative that they built these things in 6 months or 2 years, and they ran these world fairs for 6 months, introducing a bunch of products and whatnot into the population, and then they tore them all down. But it's becoming clearer and clearer that these structures were already there.
Mm.
The Capitol buildings, if you look, for example, at the Capitol buildings of every U.S. state,
Yeah.
they're all incredible. They're all
Incredible.
geometrically perfect. They're all built on ley lines, right? Which is in and of itself these natural energetic lines of the earth. And so, you can't do that with, hammer and a chisel and
I'm
a
sorry that I'm
porcelain bucket.
it's a stupid question. What is a ley line? I don't know.
Ley lines are these naturally energetic lines on the earth. I'm not an expert at where they are, but they go all over the place and they intersect in certain places. And you see all these incredible structures where they intersect and on the ley lines. So it's like, I mean, if we're going to get really deep,
It
then
sounds
we
like Brad
live
Hancock stuff, like ancient apocalypse kind of. Yeah. I mean, okay. It's like the
kind of,
meridian
yeah.
and the human body just on Earth, like energy channels. Okay.
Yeah. So we kind of live in an electromagnetic physical experience, right? And so these ley lines are energetic lines that just so happens every Capitol building is on one, and they
Uh-huh.
all look the same. And so you think about the Capitol building of Idaho. Why does it look like this incredible European structure? Why are there no, I've done a lot of construction. Why are there no documents, invoices? How did you do it? I mean, it's really nonsensical that there's nothing backing up these structures. And
Wow.
so what is it? And so how much of our history can we rely on? And there's a lot of false science that's taught. Nikola Tesla, if it was a real guy, was far more correct than, say, Einstein. And so we need to start breaking this stuff apart and understanding, what is the scenario we're really living in.
Okay.
So in any
I'm with you.
case,
Yeah, I just wanted to take you there for a second and
yeah,
come back. And while you were talking, I also was looking for one of the films that I want to recommend to people. You were touching on free energy. So there's a brilliant documentary called Thrive 2. I think you may have watched it, by Foster Gamble and his wife Kimberly. Do you know them?
no, I
No.
don't.
Oh, they're awesome. So there's Thrive 1, which is really like the first Thrive movie is kind of old. I don't remember when it was done, but I think about 15, 20 years ago. But this one was done in 2021 or 2, Thrive 2. It's called This Is What It Takes, and it's all about free energy. So I'll put on the show notes, I'll put a link to this. It's a great movie, 2.5 hours, talking all about free energy and yeah, and consciousness in the field and everything. And I think it's good to
Yeah.
bring people up to speed on that. So if you haven't watched it, I'll give it to you. It's really good.
Yeah, and free energy is very important to understand the implications of. So in effect, there's energy everywhere. There's a false narrative that energy is scarce, and you can, for example, cathedral, these old structures, it gets its name from cathode. So it was harnessing energy from the ether, reamplifying it for healing and for electricity purposes. And so if you take a look at just the deflationary effect of technology alone, which is immense, and then you back that up with free energy, then our natural state should be absolutely abundant.
Oh, of course.
And something like Bitcoin becomes less important as a store of value and more important as a protection mechanism from ever siphoning off that energy again to build these false control structures and false narratives.
Yep.
So it's kind of like a check valve where if we can get past this debt slave, everything is a lie scenario, then it prevents it from ever taking hold again, or at least it can. And so for me, it's much more important when we start understanding free energy and the effects of Bitcoin and technology to understand the real prize here. The real prize is not to have a great retirement account. The real prize is for complete and utter abundance to where we can actually live in our natural state, which we've never done.
I just think every time I hear this, like, I wish more people got that this is the magic behind Bitcoin and not all the other stuff. Because if they
Yeah.
did, then nothing matters. And I mean, it's like just work to be creative and to build this system and to make it stronger so we can go past that phase, that transitory phase that we're in now, so that we can win. But it's like a
Yeah.
win. It's a win. I don't know. I mean, forever is a very weird word, but it's a long-term win. It's not just like it's not for our generation. It's for a very
Yeah.
big cause. It's a very big thing. I wish more people would understand that. So yeah, maybe by following you after this episode, they will develop this conviction. And also, yeah, I've done recently a very good episode with Jeff about that, about how we view Bitcoin money versus asset. And so yeah, go listen to that if you haven't.